have to say hello to all my American relatives. Best greetings and wishes from the German relatives, especially from my mother, that's Liesel, and of course, my father also, Günther, and then especially from Thomas and Madeleine. Maybe you remember they have been here in '85.
Right, we remember them, definitely. What I do is I record a lot of this horse and I send it to Marguerite.
Yes.
That's how we keep in touch with Marguerite.
Yeah. Sunday we will take a lot of pictures. Yeah. You'll see so many relatives.
I'm sorry.
Is this for Marguerite?
Hundreds. You'll be so mixed up.
Hi, Marguerite. I was thinking about you
Yeah.
this morning, wishing you
So
could be
many.
here with us. You and Jack both.
Third, fourth,
We miss
fifth,
you.
sixth.
Say hi to Liesel, too. Say hi to Liesel.
Lisa.
No, say it again.
Hi, Lisa.
Okay.
We wish you could be here with us too.
Right, right.
Enjoying these German relatives.
Right, okay. Liesel, this is my driveway. I just thought maybe I would take some pictures. And give you an idea of what it's like where I live. We live in the woods. All kinds of beautiful trees around. That was our old dog house there, that little building you see there. We had a beagle hound. His name was Bo. This is the house. The part that juts out there, the window you see there, that's my dining room. And right below that is where you enter the house, and the house is made of concrete and cedar and glass. Chuck likes to work outdoors, and so he's planted a lot of this ivy around here. And this is the walkway coming up to my house. Chuck poured all those little cement squares to make the walkway. This section here that you see with the two big pieces of glass, that's what we call a sitting well. And I'll show you that when we get inside. But you can sit on the floor in there and have talks, conversations. This is that rope hanging there. Wouldn't you know, the first thing that Manuel saw was that. And he grabbed a hold of that and was going to take a swing, and I remembered that Chuck had told me that that limb was dead up there, so I'm afraid we spoiled his fun. We told him he better not do it. But that's like 20 years old. That's from when my kids were little. We had a swing on that, and they'd swing out over the edge there. This is called Pachysandra. I don't know if you have this. Same kind of vegetation. But we have so much shade here that we have to find things that grow in the shade. And that's the entry of the house. This is a little garden that Chuck made for me. It's got hostas and impatiens in it. This is right outside of my sewing room. The lower windows there are my sewing room. And the second story there is our family room. And that square concrete thing that's sticking out there, that's a fireplace that's set in a glass wall. And then up in the top there are the girls' bedrooms, one on each side. And they look out into the woods. And impatiens is another flower that grows in the shade. I'm sure you must know about that. The hostas are beautiful. And this little tree here, it's hard for you to see, is a redbud tree, and I bought this before my mother died, and I scattered, and I can see it right outside my kitchen window, and this is, I think I told you that I scattered her ashes under the redwood tree. And we've had some problems with it over the winter, but I think maybe it's going to be all right. I think it'll live. And that piece of the house that's jutting out, that's in my kitchen, and that's where our dining room, our kitchen table is. And that's where I look out to see my mom's tree. And then we watch the birds out here. So many leaves and trees here, it's hard to get back far enough to see the house. But it gives you an idea anyway. And in this direction, just over the hill, is Uncle Norm Johnson's ski lodge. And my kids were able to put their skis on at the front door and just ski down over there. The seasons are beautiful, Lisa. The fall, the trees are mostly in yellows. And in the winter, it's wonderful. Each season is just so different. And it's like it's part of the house. It may be too dark in there. This is where you enter the house and where you go upstairs. This is my living room. Ceiling's 18 foot tall with glass on the wall on one side. It's my organ, but I don't play that too much anymore. I was never very good at it. The couches, I took an upholstery course maybe 15 years ago, and I made them from scratch. I learned how to sew in the springs and do the whole thing. But that was hard work, physical work. This is what I was telling you is the sitting well. The fireplace there. And it's padded extra thick with padding so that you can just sit on the floor and talk. So this is what we call our living room, and we really use it mostly for company. This is my dining room. I'm taking these pictures while nobody's here because when there's people here it gets so crowded that you can't see anything. I just kind of wanted to share my home with you. These stairs go upstairs to the third floor to the bedroom. At Christmas time, I had bought poinsettias and lined the stairs with them, and it was just beautiful. And then I had a little memorial service for my mother when the whole family was here, and then I gave each one a poinsettia in memory of my mom. And the art on the walls are things that my kids did when they were young. The three things at the bottom here, Jill did when she was in grade school. And the bird, Sherry did when she was in maybe first grade. And the bug, she did when she was before kindergarten or just kindergarten. And then this top one, she did with potato. The weaving I did. The picture of Sherry when she was a junior in high school there. When she was in France, was done on the street. The karate guy kicking, Jeff did, that's a linoleum cut. The monk, Chuck did in charcoal when he was in college. The green abstract painting, Chuck did in college also. The weaving, I did. And this is another weaving that I did. The idea was it was an adaptation of the Chinese yin and yang. And then this is the ceiling's very high here. I don't know if this will show. The red poppy is Georgia O'Keeffe. She's a woman American artist, and the other photograph is done by a friend of mine, and it was on the cover of a magazine, and she gave that to me and my mother before my mom died. Next to the dining room is my kitchen. Excuse the messy counters, and this is that window that juts out that I told you about, that we sit at the kitchen table and enjoy the view, and the birds are outside. And this is the view that we have. And there's my mom's tree out there. It's hard for you to see, probably. As you can see, I love plants. And they grow well. It's not that I'm such a good keeper of the plants, it's just that the light is right. And this is my family room then, and this is that concrete box that I showed you on the outside. That is the fireplace. And this is where we spend most of our time. This is a picture of my mom, Lisa, that was taken in January before she died by a friend of mine who's a photographer, and he wanted to do something for her, and so he took her picture, and I'm just really glad to have it. And on my freezer, if you can see, these are all pictures of my family. These are little magnetic holders that I got at the drugstore, and kind of nice to have my family around me. Just like you, Lisa, I'm very family orientated. My daughter Sherry. It's Isabel. Chuck and Ian. I think maybe that's not coming up. That's Jill and Ian and Isabel, her kids. And that's Ian. And this is the picture that I gave you of the family at Christmas. That's my son Jeff and his wife. And Ian, his dad, Jill's husband, Roy. This is my basement. This is not very fancy, but this is my workroom. This is where I sew. You see, I have a nice view outside my window. When my kids were little, and all the way through, I made all their clothes and all mine, and just, I don't think I've sewed since December, but up to then I've made just about everything. I find it very relaxing.
Great.
Yeah.
They'll have show and tell one day. So you take something to school, you like the role and you show it, and then you tell about it. So they can take you and tell them about you.
You have to stay for show and tell.
You speak more languages? 3 or 4 months.
I took 4 years of French and a few years of Spanish.
I took 2 years
I
of
took
Latin.
Latin. Spanish
for
for
4
4
years.
years.
You don't remember?
This is Tammy. I have to say who these people are. This is Tammy. This is my cousin Gail's daughter. And this is Gail. I'm going to send this to Lisa. That's why. And this is Jeannie Johnson, Norm's daughter. Right. And Emmy and Norm.
Don't ask.
And you recognize these two guys, Heidi
Who's going to
and Horst.
Right.
And Norm Dawson, Mildred's son. And Marge, Norm's wife.
Come to America.
And Chuck, Carolyn's husband.
Let me get you, or let Charlie get you now.
Oof, you didn't what? Yes.
Spanish.
Who are you?
Dinner together, and we wish you
That's
were
maybe
here.
the short form from Emmanuel.
Okay.
Hi, Lisa. This is Brian, my son.
Only Manuel.
Say hi, Brian.
Hi, Lisa. They have fun playing today.
Who?
How you did this.
Okay. I made this plan with Annie, and I think it was 87, and when we made it short after this, she died, and so I have only the information for the generation Norman, Linda, Buck, Mildred, Bill, and Margaret. And because we moved now in May to our now new house, I have lost it. And so I asked my mother, and she made another plan. Made within some minutes, you know, she find out all the relatives from letters from Caroline and your letters, and so she made one for me, so I could
Picture it.
Something to start with.
yeah, that I had the information who's belonging to whom. And so she has so many problems. Maybe I see there's a sign Linda.
Yeah.
So I should ask everything, you know, about Linda.
Yes.
And also it's necessary to have all the birth dates and who is married with whom. And
Wow, we need a big piece of paper.
yeah. See, for example, here's Buck.
That's my dad.
Yeah, and then she knows that Buck has a daughter named Gail.
Yeah.
And a son.
But here is another child,
Kim.
but not a name.
Right.
She has to know who's the brother, who's the sister. And so we have to find out. And
Then your kids too,
Yeah.
Gail.
but I
Gail and her children.
see, and this is the plan we have made. It's only a sign for me, so it's not right, the right form. You know. But there's the Wilhelmina Klischer, and she is married, named Maura.
Mauer.
Maura, M-A-U-R,
M-A-U-E-R.
M-A-U-E-R.
M-A-U-R-E-R. Maura.
Mara.
Yeah. And she went 1883 to America. And she had some sisters and brothers.
Yeah, I know all them.
Yeah, and one of the sisters is Frida. And this is my mother's grandmother. And Wilhelmina in America, she got some children also.
I know most
Emma.
all those.
My mother only knows Emma.
Oh, Emma, Laura.
And your family, that's
No, Laura.
Wilhelmina. But there must be also some other
Yeah, there are others, I know.
And so I have to find
So
out.
you're valuable, you have
I know.
valuable information we need to know.
Mhm. The last one.
Yeah. And so in Wilhelmina, she got Margaret, Bill, Mildred, Buck, Linda, and Norman.
Uh-huh.
Dad, do you have that family tree thing out?
Lisa, these are the flowers that Horst and Heidi and Manuel brought to me on Thursday night when they come to dinner. They're just really pretty. I really appreciated them. Thought you'd like to see them. Set them in my kitchen.
There's a rope that looks like they're Ethan Allen, but they are Ethan Allen. They pull them back and they're real comfortable. When you sit and read there, it's very much a relaxing movement. You'll just have to see it, and then down here, but my whole first floor is beige blue moss. And then
Pretty though. Did you wear it though?
and it's all wallpapered. And it was done by favorite wallpaper. And then wallpaper. We call it wallpaper. And then upstairs, there are 3 bedrooms, my bedroom, and it's got a bathroom built off of it. And a little.
One moment, give a drum roll.
Card trick.
What are they come for? McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing?
This side. No.
Oh, why can't I see the card?
Oh, you reversed it too. So. Put in.
Let Charlie do it.
I looked at them and I didn't record exactly what they
There,
were.
Charlie, you do it. Right.
Real subtle.
My grandmother?
Of your grandmother.
Huh?
The brother? The brother? Wilhelm Blücher? And one is Frida. Yeah,
Horst and Norm
that's,
are doing
our family. This line.
family
Yeah,
tree.
that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
His family and our family.
Yeah, that's yours right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's your line.
Yeah. So, okay, we have to start
Heidi.
with Karl Gottlieb Blücher and Maria Katharina Conrad.
Yeah, right here.
Mm-hmm.
Had 9 children.
9
1,
children.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
No, they had, that's Frida. Frida and Karl Eli, they had 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And these had 9 children. Gottlieb Blücher.
Carl, and he had 9 children.
Okay, tell me again.
1909.
What?
What was your dad's name?
Bible was first by William Minnie Johnston in 1909.
Mechanical pencil.
For $12.
Aber auch nur die einen. Und die andere Geschwister werden zwar
We're looking
hingeschrieben,
for the
und die eine Linie geht dann weiter.
place for all the names.
Okay.
Wir haben jetzt kleine Kinder. Haben wir noch?
Tell about it. Read it.
Wenige Kinder.
This is
William Johnston?
William Johnston and Mary Holbrook in 1929, 9 p.m. And the witnesses, and Mildred Johnston, July 12, 1930, Herbert Dawson and all the witnesses, Albert Johnston and Helen Parks on September 26, 1931, church wedding, Linda Johnston and Elwood Robinson, 1932, December 31st. And that's all that's in here so far. Now, the next page is the ones that are William Johnston.
We don't want to worry about any of
These are the births, February 23rd, 07 at 6 a.m. Mildred Zanza Johnston, August 28th, 08 at 3:45. Albert David, June 4th, 1910, 7:30. Linda Hazel on May 8th, 1912. Marguerite, June 14th. Norman Johnston, October 24th. William Herbert Dawson was born May 26, 1931. That's Bill.
Norman will be down
And
here.
William Herbert Johnson, that's Mary and Bill's boy, on December 8th.
Then
And William,
there are
Mrs.
two
William Johnson was born 1889, and William
from
Johnson was born 1883. Now here are the deaths. Kate Conley,
this is
and,
Mildred.
on June 19th, 1924.
Who was
And-
that, Norm?
And she's got 3.
Mrs. Nicholas, that'd be Nicholas Mauer on January 12th, 1932.
She has 3.
And Mrs. Pearl
William
Greer,
again,
February
Norman,
Who are those
27th.
people, Dad?
Who's Conley?
Dad,
Who are these people?
and let's see.
Kate Conley, that would be my mother's sister. She was married to Conley.
Okay, who was this person? Pearl.
Pearl, that is my mother's
Buck
sister.
or Linda?
And this is Mrs. Nicholas Mauer, that would be her brother's wife.
And Buck.
Dad, is
My
Buck
mother's-
older than Linda?
Buck is older than Linda, next.
Linda's
Hey,
next.
wait a minute, you forgot the best part.
No,
Another
Yes.
part.
Linda had 4.
This.
oh, family tree pledge.
Temperance.
Temperance.
It says, "We, the
The undersigned,
undersigned,
by-
solemnly
this is,
promise, by the help of God,
Marguerite.
to abstain from the use of all intoxicating
She had
drinks
2.
as a beverage."
I think that's why we don't drink.
And Norman.
We all,
Uh-huh.
it's unsigned.
It's unsigned.
Nobody's
The
committed.
next
He
one.
can't sign it.
And then what I
He can't sign.
think, we have 3. And we'll put the kids in here.
Yeah.
Jeff, Sherry, and Jill. And under
Dad, where's
Norman,
that
there's...
thing I gave you?
The what?
Where's that family tree thing I
Right
gave you?
here?
Oh, good.
grandchildren. Yes, Jill has 2.
We're gonna update this?
But we
Huh?
can,
We need to update
see
this.
Oh,
that it
yeah,
starts to get
definitely.
so
We have to
big.
take it with us and...
with the grandkids, like, we could isolate on her.
He played it all his life. And when he was just 12 years old, he played in Cedar Point, which would be the equivalent of the Aragon or Trianon here in Chicago. That had nothing but great big bands. And he played the piano when he was just 12 years old. And he was so short that he couldn't even reach the pedals. But he was really known as a maestro as far as musicians go. And when there were times when somebody would be not show up in the band and they need an extra person, they could call on him because he could play almost any instrument. And that was especially shown when once somebody brought back a Chinese instrument that was very, very unconventional. And he just went toot, 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 and then just took off and just played anything he wanted to play. He could play by ear, and he could play almost any instrument within 5 minutes. Be an expert in 5 minutes. He was really a talented musician, and he didn't care to hunt and fish like when he was a kid, like Buck and I did. Buck and I were always in the woods together. We would go hunting, fishing, we'd go hunting bullfrogs and crawdads, and we'd find a little creek to go fishing in. But Bill would never go then. So after he was married, then he started to love to hunt and fish, and we had to kind of teach him. But he was very enthusiastic about it, and Bert and Buck and Bill and I would always go hunting for a rabbit and pheasant and quail, and we'd also go fishing up at Lake Michigan, up in Hartford, Michigan, at our cottage at Rush Lake. Had great times up there. Many fond memories
Tell
of
the
that.
story of how that was built.
Oh, the cottage was built in 1929 or 30, I believe, and that was built. It was a 26-foot cottage, and it was complete with the pump and the outhouse and a boat and everything at a total cost with paint and everything of $360. And the man that built it was the Indian chief from that neighborhood, and at that time he was getting 7.5 cents an hour. He's a skilled carpenter. He was getting 7.5 cents an hour, and he quit that job and he walked 4.5 miles from town to build the cottage. We paid 10 cents an hour, and the total cost on everything was just $360, and it was a real nice cottage. And we paid $25 a year for the land. We had about 10 acres of lake on the land, and we paid $25 a year.
Like rent?
Like rent. Yeah.
And who paid for the $360?
What?
Who paid the $360?
My dad.
He paid for everything.
We paid for everything.
Zemer or Johnston?
What's that?
Mr. Johnston or Mr.
Yeah, Johnson.
Zemer?
Johnson, yeah.
What do you remember about your dad?
Well, my dad was a very short man, and he was like a, quote, a banny rooster, but he was his whole life was the mills, and he didn't just only had a grade school education, but he was the superintendent of the machine shop in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. And when the National Tube Company was going to build a new mill in Lorain, Ohio, they sent him to set up the whole machine shop at Lorain, Ohio. And we were there and lived at 1946 East 29th Street in Lorain. And I was born there in 1916. I believe he came about probably around 1910 or so and he was still just a young man then, because I believe he was born in 1889, and so he had been only about 19 or 20 years of age when he was superintendent of the machine shop. Then he became superintendent of several other parts of the mill in Lorain, Ohio, and then when they built a new mill in Gary, that was in 1924, they sent us, and they gave us a house at 542 Kentucky Street, and he went on to become the general superintendent of the whole mill. But then in 1929, the Depression came, and that really sucked. The mill almost shut down, and there were only like 8 or 10 people in the whole mill. And even as superintendent, he had to quote, clean up his own office, and they were out there mainly to keep anything from freezing up, but they had to keep certain fires going to keep things from freezing, and there were certain things that had to be done, but they were more or less watchmen for many, many years.
What about when you were born and how Grandma fell down the stairs and how much you weighed?
Yes, when I was born in 1960, I weighed over 15 pounds. That was unquestionably caused by the fact that she was diabetic, but she didn't even know she was diabetic, or nobody realized what the cause of it was in those days. But years afterwards, they realized that when they found out she had diabetes very, very badly, that it was unquestionably the reason that I was so big. I almost killed her, I guess, by having a baby that big.
How about your arm, Dad?
Oh, yeah, when I was born, I told you that when I was born, that my one arm was born behind me, and it ruined my shoulder. And as you see, that one arm is about 2.5 inches shorter than the other. That was caused from childbirth.
Now go back and tell a story about Uncle, Linda and Duff and Mildred.
Okay, well, Mildred was because we had a large family, 6 kids. That actually, I must say that what I remember is that Mildred was really my mother. I mean, because she had to see that I was cleaned up, got dressed, and wherever she would go, I would go too. She would go with her girlfriends, her boyfriends, out for this or for that, picnics, that I always went along with her. And of course, I always remember, probably something I'll always hold against her, that she liked to make me wear shorts and socks with a bow on. And oh, I hated that. I mean, I would just get so mad when she put those bows on my, like the garters with bows on. And she dressed me, I would say, quite feminine, and I hated that. And I was glad when I was able to get something a little bit more masculine. And even I was the only boy in about 7th and 8th grade that wore short breeches, what do you call them? Knickers, yeah. And because all the other boys were able to get long pants, but I had to wear knickers. And as we said with Buck was always very athletic, and he and I would follow the same lines. He was always playing football, baseball, and basketball, and we played together. I remember right now that once that Buck and Bill went duck hunting, and they were in like a canoe in a big slough, and it was it was snowing and freezing, and they were in this very tippy canoe, and somebody was shooting at a duck and shot near them, and the shot rang around them, and they started paddling very fast, and they both tipped over in the water, and they finally found another man came by and asked them matches, so they built a fire to dry their clothes out and such. But they always talk about that. It's a thing I know neither one of them would have ever forgotten.
What a story about Duff.
Well, Duck was Duck when she was small was very, very awkward. That's where they get the name. They called her Duck because it comes from the German word Duffus, which means awkward. That she would be doing dishes, and she had over one dish in her hand. She would drop both of them, and my mother would always call her Duffus, so that's how she got her name, Duff.
So that's Marguerite you're talking about,
that's Marguerite.
Right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How about when Bert used to come to date Mildred?
Oh yes, when Bert first started dating Mildred was a nurse, and after she graduated, Bert had come to pick her up, and he had a brand new Buick with wooden wheels, I believe they're yellow. I believe the yellow wooden wheel, and I can still see them. But there's really something to have that big a car, and it's really something. And we would always play tricks on them, do things like put things in the front seat that inappropriate things, and we'd always cause a lot of trouble for him, and always because he could always take a joke. And he would always retaliate with something, and he would he'd bring us candy to quote, try to get us kids to lay off a little bit, but we knew it was all in fun, and we would razz him, and he would razz us, and play tricks on each other.
They also kidded him too, didn't they? That he showed up one day in spats.
Oh, yes.
And was the price tag still on him?
Yeah, the price tag's still on them, yes.
What's spats?
Spats are, they used to wear in the wintertime they were felt, and they fit right over your foot and ankles to keep your ankles warm and to keep the snow out of the ankles. They're the prelude to goulashes, but it was kind of they showed a little bit below your pants, and it was kind of a fashion thing at that time. That's...
Tell about the house at 5th and Lincoln.
Oh, when my dad became superintendent of the Gary Mills, what went with that was a very, very large house, and they moved us into this house. This house was first made to be like a hotel, because there were no real nice hotels in Gary. Gary was still very, very, very small, and they had when the visitors came from Pittsburgh or New York to help or check the mill as it was being built, there was no place to stay, so they stayed in this house. At that time, the superintendent was Mr. Waterman, and there were 16 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms. It had all the maids' quarters, the gardener's quarters, let's say a 24-room house, and it's set on about 4 lots in Gary with a big iron fence around it. Just a gorgeous mansion is what it was. And then when my dad became superintendent, we got the house, and oh my gosh, we had more rooms than what we needed. And when Linda got married, she and Woody Robinson lived up on the 3rd floor. They had a kitchen and everything. They had like a whole apartment up there. There were, I believe, 6 bedrooms up on the 3rd floor, and a kitchen and a bathroom and a living room. They were just absolutely just like a hotel. And we had a colored maid by the name of Maddie, who was the nanny for a famous singer that was in the movies and such. Grace, gosh, I can't remember which one her name was. And then we had a gardener and a maintenance man by the name of John. He was an old ship's carpenter. He was very old. I mean, I say he was very old. He was 70 years old. To me, that seems like an old man, but now 70 years is still...
He built the boat, didn't he? That was at the cottage.
He built the boat at the cottage, yes. He built a lot of things for us. He built a lot of furniture. He could make furniture, and he made a lot of things at the cottage. He'd just give him some scraps, and he'd come up with something. He was a very, very handy man.
Tell us about Grandma Zemer, how she never drove and how she cooked.
Oh no, Grandma Zemer. In those days, no woman ever drove a car. I don't remember even to about 1940 did I, 20, 30, maybe 35 or 40. I don't remember ever seeing a woman drive a car. And although we always had at least 2 cars, because the kids, Bill and Buck and Linda, they all drove first, and then years later, when we were 16, we got to drive. And my dad was always a fellow for having a big car and a new car. That we would date back in 1924 when he had what's called an Ackerson Jackrabbit. That was like the Mercedes today. It was a great big car, and it sounded like a locomotive. it was a great big, it would haul 7 people, and the sides, you had isinglass curtains to put up whenever it snowed or rained, or when it was very, very cold. And the heater, all you do is open up a thing on the floorboard and let the hot air from the engine come in and keep you warm. That was the only kind of heater you had. And nothing like a windshield defrost or anything like that.
Tell them about driving an hour for ice or vehicles for rides.
Every Sunday we would go for, the big deal was we would all go for a ride. And when we, like, Valparaiso was 25 miles from Gary, we would start out at, say, noon on Sunday, and we'd always have a flat tire or two. We'd drive we'd always have a flat tire. We'd drive to Valparaiso and back. That would be 50 miles. It would take us, we'd get home like 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
But did you get ice cream was a big treat?
Hmm?
Did you get ice
Oh,
cream?
yeah, we would always stop at, when we got to our destination, we'd always have an ice cream cone or something like that. And that was always the big day, the big thing for Sunday was taking a ride in the country. And of course, Valparaiso was clear off in the country then. You had to go through a lot of country.
Tell them about the foods and how Carolyn still makes the things that your mom made. Those cookies, you know, at Christmas time. And
Oh, yes.
The anise,
Oh, yes.
the anise cookie.
Oh, yes. Every Christmas it was just a tradition to make anise cookies and fruit cake. And then every Friday she would bake. She would bake, and every Friday I couldn't wait to come home from school, and the minute I get out of school, I'd make a beeline to see what Mother had made. But usually she had made a caraway seed cake, and that got to be, I could taste it the minute I got out of school. I could smell it. And when I got home, then I knew it was ready, and I always had a big piece of anise, caraway seed cake with butter and a little bit of jam on it and powder. And still today, on my birthday, I get my caraway seed cake from Carol. I asked Mildred. I said, Mildred, do you remember how Grandma made do you have a recipe for the caraway seed cake? She said, no. She said, I don't have a recipe, but if I just close my eyes, I can remember seeing her make it. She put in so many cups of this, and so many cups of that, and a teaspoon of this, and this, and this, and you know, she made it, and it was just perfect, and Carolyn still makes it today. So every birthday, I still get a caraway seed cake, and I eat the whole thing myself. I put half of it away for a freezer, in the freezer, so that I don't eat it all at once, but I can eat the whole thing.
And it groans over every bite.
Oh, yeah.
Just groans. And tell them about the anise cookies.
Oh, yeah, and the anise cookies too. When she made them, she always put them in a pillowcase, so they kind of cure. They're not good for a couple of weeks after they are in a pillowcase. I don't know why the pillowcase, but it seemed to do something for them. And then we had them all, and then I loved it. Everybody would dunk them in coffee. And everybody loved them.
And Grandma always made a big elephant.
Oh, that's right. Almost made a big elephant and one of these like a gingerbread boy. Only made it out of anise cookie. But she always made a big elephant, and then that was a tradition. Like about after the first of the year, sometime we'd all gather around and break up that elephant and all eat it. But it would be about probably a foot and a half long, about a foot high.
What do you know about Grandma's psychic abilities?
Grandma she had, and I don't know how she ever found out, but she did have psychic abilities. But one of the first things that she realized, somebody had lost a child that had been drowned in Lake Erie, and they said, well, they couldn't find the baby. There was a child, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years old, I'm guessing. I wasn't there, but I heard about it. And they came to her and asked her if she could help them find the baby. And she says, well, she'd close her eyes and she said, well, take me down to the lake. And she walked along the lake. She started feeling them coming closer and closer. She walked down, and finally she says, they're right here. They dug down in the sand right at the edge of the water, and there was that child. So that was...
What year was that?
What year? I was probably about 1920. And they went into a theater in Lorain, Ohio. Mother and dad, when they went into the theater, and and she was watching the. They were watching the pictures, and they said, and Mother finally said to Dad, she said, something's going to happen. We better get out of here. And so they went and told the manager of the theater, and he says, no, nothing's going to happen. Well, they left anyway. The next night, the whole theater collapsed. Next day.
What about the Indian? Did you ever see Red Feather?
Oh, she had this. Let's see, what was his name?
Or was it Red Wing?
Red Wing.
Okay.
Red Wing. That was kind of the Indian always came to her with things, I mean, most of these happened when I was still very young, but while my older brothers and sisters were teenagers, and they would remember so much more than I would about it. But it was there were literally dozens of incidents that happened, such as this. There was something to do with 3 daughters that were drowned, and I can't remember exactly what the occasion was, but she had something to do with them. She was always very, very interested in Indians. And I know one time we were in Chesterton, and at some people called the Schultz's farm, and we were in the farmhouse, and she said, you know, I feel the Indians all around me right now, and somehow or another they were going to build a house for one of the clearance shows next to it, and they had a horse and a scoop to dig it out, and here they found literally hundreds of Indian bones and Indian facts of bows and arrows, hatchets, and all that stuff. And she was the one who said that's where it was. It was right. She said she went outside of the house and she said, well, it's right here. She feels Indians all over, and there was literally dozens of bones that they found, skulls. We had them around the house for a long time, and some of those Indians had the hair had kept growing. Their hair was like 6 feet long. Their hair kept on, it was long.
I remember my mother telling me, Norm, about the spirit or whatever you want to call it that came through through Grandma, called Red Wing.
She called him Red Wing.
Right, and my mother.
And there was a song at that time. Oh, the moon shines bright on pretty Red Wing. Da 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 da. And so that was always kind of appropriate, but she always called him Red Wing.
Right, and Mom Mildred told about that she and Bill would talk Grandma into letting Red Wing come out, and they would sit at her feet, and then she would go into her trance or whatever and let Red Wing come out and talk with them.
Oh, like I say, there was more of it with my older brothers and sisters than it was me, because I was kind of too young at that time to be let in on the secret, so to speak, or to be part of it.
Yeah, and that was also a time of what they called the spiritualism movement or whatever.
Yes.
At that time
yes.
Those years, right? Yeah.
But there were so many things that actually happened that there's no other way that she would have known, like with that finding that baby body. I mean, they had, it was like 6 inches underneath the sand, right, at the beach. And when the church collapsed, you know, I mean, when that theater collapsed, you know, that was something that you had to believe.
Tell about Christmases, how it was a big deal just to get orange.
Oh yeah, at Christmas, we would only get one thing, each one of us, and then we get a sock, and we'd have an orange, and a banana, and an apple, and always a pomegranate, and then a little bit of few nuts and some hardtack candy. That would be the Christmas, and we had a tree, and then we had candles on it, and we would have maybe like 10 or 12 candles that they would clip onto the branches, and the big thing on Christmas then, we would light it for just a couple of minutes, and there would have to be an adult by almost every one of them, so that if it caught fire to anything, but we had to light those candles, and that would be the lighting of the Christmas tree. But there'd be maybe 12 candles, and there, depending on how many adults, like one adult would watch 2 candles, and they just watch those alone and light them and be ready to blow them out. And we had buckets of water right handy in case they would get away from us. I remember that.
What about Buck? Do you have any stories about Buck?
Well, I have so many stories about Buck that because he and I were always so very, very, very close. But hunting and fishing, we've always had so many stories, and with Bert too.
Did you go up to the cottage and live there?
Yes, I went up
and hunt
there for 2 years. That when
Tell about the Dorseys, Mary Dorsey.
When I graduated from high school, and I couldn't get a job any place and couldn't afford to go to school, so I went up to the cottage and hunted, fished, and trapped for a living. And many weekends, then Buck and Bert, and once in a while Sonny would come up, and we'd go hunting or fishing, and I would always, Buck would always be amazed that if I knew where a big fish was hanging out, and I would tell him, I said, no, you know, this time of day, he's right back in here, and sure enough, we'd go get him. But one time in particular, that he had never shot a pheasant before in his life, and I found this one pheasant where he always stayed, and so, but I didn't shoot him because I wanted to save him for Buck, and I told him exactly where it was, and I said, now I'll send Sport, it was with my dog, around, and he said he'll go in here and he'll come up and fly right over this way. And so Buck stayed there, and he got his first pheasant, and that was the biggest thrill of his lifetime, because he said it was just like a storybook, that it happened just as I said it would, and he shot it, and that was absolutely his first pheasant. Pheasants in those days were really like.
Did you eat them?
Oh yes, we ate them. Oh yes. Oh, and stories about this dog Sport. He was absolutely an amazing dog. When I went up there, that he would, I was trapping for muskrat, and he would go down in the water and stand right over the muskrat run. We'd stand there for hours, and when the muskrat would come through, he'd just reach down and grab him and then bring him up to the cottage where we were so I could skin him. And he even do it with snapping turtles. And one funny thing was that Buck, or Dave and Bill Johnson were going to go up there one weekend, and they said, asked if they could take Sport hunting and fishing on him. And so I said, sure. He would hunt anything, fox, rabbit, squirrel, pheasant, anything. And they said, well, will he hunt ducks? I said, will he retrieve ducks? I said, if you can show him what to do, tell him what you want, I said, he'll understand and he'll do it. And so they took him out, and they built a blind out on the point of the lake, put a lot of trees around, put the boat inside of it, and got up early in the morning, and they're waiting they're calling for ducks, quack, 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 and they had the decoys out, and sure enough, here comes the ducks, and they come flying right in, and they shot one. And they said, fetch, Sport, he swims, he jumps up out of the boat into the water, and he starts going towards him, and then he turns and goes back. And he said, no, go that way. And here he went toward shore. They were ready to shoot him. They were so angry because he wouldn't fetch the duck. And he went into the shore, and going about that way, and he had to go to the bathroom. And he went to the bathroom, then he went out and then retrieved the ducks.
You've got some stories about Big Red too, don't you? Something about sleeping on the cottage, on the table?
Oh, yeah, so Big Red, that was another dog of mine, and
That's when Carrie and I had.
yeah, and he was a primarily bird dog, but
People would sign up to take them. Tell about that.
yeah, we had them in the back of our house, and all the policemen and firemen when they went hunting, that we had a sheet there, and you signed up. You took him for like Monday between 8 and 12, and then somebody signed from 12 to 8, whatever. And but he was a great hunting dog, and we took him up to the cottage. We were going to go into town, and we were afraid that he was wet and had stickers on him, and we told him not to get on the bed. Don't you get on the bed. So we went into town. He came back, and he wasn't on the bed. He was staying on the top of the dining room table.
Well, something about him running on a fire engine. Don't you remember?
Oh yes, he would always go down to he'd go over to the school, to the cafeteria, and he'd scratch the door, and the cooks in there would always throw him some extra meat or anything they had left over and give it to him. Then he'd go down in all the bars, and every drunk in town knew him because he'd go into the bars, and we had neighbors who were Catholic in the Catholic church, and he said they were sitting right on the aisle one day, and the minister was giving him a sermon, and he said he just walked right down the aisle and went down and went right in front of the minister and turned around and just fell asleep right while church was going on. And one day we were all uptown, and we heard a fire engine going by. So we pull up the side. Here comes the fire engine by, and here's Big Red sitting in the front seat. Yeah.
Gil and I'm curious about Jack, some of Jack's stories, because he's not willing to share some of them with us.
Well, choose yourself.
Can't get it.
Are you writing?
Like this?
Oh, I love it. Grandpa.
You put the date in.
Give me one, I'll dig it out for you.
When did Janet die?
Grandpa do it. Let Grandpa do it.
That one hurt. That one
More
hurt.
to keep it there.
The middle one.
M-A-R-T-I-N. And your husband's first name?
William?
There are a lot of Williams in this family.
Something like that.
What? Yeah, I'm meaning your children.
Grandma.
And one was Ken Born.
1944. What was the question?
You had to, no, first.
German, kind of on tape. Who's a German? He could start about, Ani and Liesel and, whoever.
Is he going to start?
Okay, Norm, you tell your thing about the tunnel, and then Horst is going to
Okay.
tell us something.
I'm going to tell you about how my grandma Zemer met Nicholas Maurer over in Germany. They lived in Oberstein, and years and years ago, it seems like the towns are always in the valley, and over the first hill, there was another town, and it was a big job getting over the hill, over the mountain, so they were going to drill a tunnel through the mountain. And Nicholas Maurer got a job with the company that built the tunnel. And after, I think it took 3 years of building the tunnel, they arrived at Nieder Oberstein. And when he got out of the tunnel, he met Wilhelmina Maurer and became lovers. And then after the tunnel was over, he wanted to go to America, so he came to America. But I don't know whether they were married before they left in Germany or whether they were married after they got here. But they settled in Keysport, Pennsylvania, and he became a streetcar conductor And he was a streetcar conductor and retired from the streetcar family.
Okay, is that it? Jenny?
Going to the tunnel, and that's how they...
That's how they met.
Okay.
They met. They actually, he worked building the tunnel, and when he got through the tunnel, he was in another town, and that's where he met Wilhelmina Mauer.
Okay, so what?
Horse, what do you want?
And horse tells
Mining diamonds,
the word Mauer means bricklayer. But that doesn't mean that he was a bricklayer, but that's where the name comes from. As Mauer means bricklayer.
And what about Eli?
Eli.
Is it Eli or Eli?
Eli, which is a family name too, comes from the religious, the prophet. Eli, the prophet.
But we pronounce it Eli.
Eli. They pronounce it Eli, we pronounce it Eli. You know that when I first came over there, and they looked at me and they said they looked at Buck, they could see the family resemblance immediately. I mean, the shape of our jaws and the way our teeth were, the eye teeth that are a little bit crooked.
Tell about Thomas, his brother has the same...
Yeah, and his brother Thomas has the same thing.
And I do too, we had never met.
And actually, whenever you do see any of the relatives, you will see that they resemble somebody in our family. You'll say, oh, look, she looks
Tell
like...
who he resembles.
Huh?
Tell the tape who he resembles.
What?
He resembles Bill Dawson, Carolyn's sister.
Oh, yes, he resembles to me.
Yes, he does to me too.
Yeah, he was looking like my my mother's uncle, Adolf, and he moved, I think in the 20s or the 30s, to Spain. And he looks similar.
Talk about your parents mining gems.
Well, what they do
Lieber
for
Oberstein is known
what
for
the
mining.
history of.
Okay, my mother, she's, the daughter of Hugo Eli and Clara Eli. And my grandpa, he had a diamond factory, or, the diamonds were made.
Cutting, polishing,
for
grinding.
for rings, for diamond rings. And my father, he's from another family from Frauenberg. That's a village close to Ensweiler, where we are living now. And he is by profession making also diamonds in the factory, but it's not the diamonds for rings, for jewelries. It's
Well, commercial diamonds for like the diamond. They use diamonds in cutting steel on a lathe and such as that. In other words, he makes commercial diamonds. They're just as hard, but they probably have flaws in them, and they don't have the brilliant color, the diamonds that you wear. These are called commercial diamonds.
yes. So what shall I?
There are tons of those being used.
And how...
And some of them make a lot of semi-precious stones. I understand that the Johnston here in America, the biggest school ring manufacturer, all the settings are made in either Oberstein or Einsweiler. For class rings, you see semi-precious stones that when they first start to work in a jewelry factory, they use precious, semi-precious stones, agate, amethyst, rubies, such as that, before they get to do, the diamond. And the interesting thing was the expression, your nose to the grindstone, comes from the diamond cutters, because when they lay down on their stomach, and on great big stone, it goes very slow. Is that right? Yeah. And it goes very slow for cutting and polishing the diamonds. And when they would lay down, their nose would be right next to the grindstone watching, and that's how they got the expression about keeping your nose to the grindstone, about working hard, keeping working. And the other thing about that is that many of the diamond cutters, they didn't live long, because when they were down like this, they would breathe the diamond dust that would get in their lungs. It would be about the same as tuberculosis, like the coal miners would get the dust in their lungs, and diamond dust would just get in their lungs and cut their lungs up, and they would die at a very early age.
Yeah, I think they have got older.
Now they have the masks and filters and such to take out all the way. But this would be in olden days.
Yeah.
So who made all that copper stuff when you brought back?
And I didn't bring the copper stuff. Ani is
How did you talk about Ani?
she's an artist.
She made all the, what is that, copper?
Copper.
Did you see mine in her basement?
Yeah, they are raised with,
painting.
and she's an artist.
Yeah, and she was always interested, also in the family things. And she made for some other people family trees, and for whole villages. She has written down the history.
She's the matriarch of the town.
Yeah.
And she died
She died
too early.
She died. As he said, though, that they appear, when you see them, we think that they are older than what they are. Whenever you see many of them over there, you think that they're older, but they're not that old by our standards.
Can you imagine that I'm 25 years old?
That's not what we heard.
We're looking much older. No, but I think another interesting point is maybe to tell something about Oberstein, our town. And Ensweiler is only a part of the Oberstein. We have maybe the total town has almost 35,000 inhabitants. And our quarter, our little part, has maybe 800 inhabitants. And from the history of the town, it's very interesting that Oberstein in former times also was one of the most famous, or we say famous, point concerning jewelry and diamonds and all these things. Because we found ourselves the stones in our
in your areas.
Hills, yeah. And in, I think it was 1827, when the first people from Ida, they went out they moved to Brazil,
looking for more gems.
because
They needed more stones.
yeah,
They needed more
so
jewelry.
they brought the stones and also the idea to make the meat on the open fire.
An open fire, like a spit or anything like that.
And so in Germany, Oberstein is also very famous for meat made in the open fire, called Spießbraten.
A spit cooking,
Yeah. And there's another interesting thing. We have a church in the rocket.
in the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
That's the one that's in my picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where my great grandmother's born.
Is it actually it's like in a cave,
Buried, I mean.
or built on the outside of it, just right at the
It's
built into the mountain.
you can see, I have some pictures with me.
Connie painted a picture and sent it
yeah,
to me.
To me, I haven't.
Yeah, and I gave it to you.
The saga, or what you say is, do you say saga? Is the history, the saga.
Saga, that's the history.
On top of the hill, the rocket, there was a castle.
A what?
A castle.
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 And there lived two brothers, one named Willich and the other Emisch. And Emisch, he was a very smart and soft man who loved the music, and he had some cats. And Willich, that's the other, he was very wild. And I think they were not very close together or to each other. And so one day, I think really she fall in love to another princess not far away. And then Emisch, he put a little cat in the shoe of Willich. And I told already they were not very close, and when he put his foot into the shoe, the cat was in, and he was so angry he took his brother Emisch and threw him out of the window, and Emisch was killed, and at the place
fell.
They fell. Really built the church. And that's the church.
Church, it's up on the side of the hill.
And there's a little well in the church. And the saga says that when the church was fixed and was finished, and there was the first, what do you say, when the religious.
The first communion?
Yeah.
In first communion.
And at this point, where village was, there came out suddenly water
Out of the ground.
That's
the history of it. That's the legend. We call it legend. You're probably, maybe it was true, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Probably not. Yeah. So, what do you have to say more? Nothing, huh?
Tell us about Lisa.
Tell
Tell us
about
about
your dad's dog.
My daddy, his hobby is to train.
Gunther.
Günther is to train dogs. He makes it for sporting. You know, there are some live shows and you can get some points, and so it's
Become national champion and such.
They are, you say,
Police dogs.
Police
We call them police dogs.
Yeah.
German shepherds.
Yeah, they are, we say, they are built out like,
Yeah, they're bred for strong and tough and mean.
yeah, and they have to bite and to smell, you know, where people have gone and
Yeah,
they're wrong. It's very interesting.
And he has won national champion once a year.
Yeah, I think it was in 1969 when he was the second.
He was a national champion.
German champion.
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
When I was there, I was so amazed. He got his dogs out, and when he says something to them in German, they do it right. I mean, they're just looking for that what to do next, and when they do it right now, they don't wait around or anything like that. They're so obedient, and he had a device, and he had them attack him, and he had a device he put on his arm to measure how many pounds of pressure the dog can bite. You know.
Talk about your trip to Germany and when Mildred and Beth went, maybe, if you know anything. When you went and Mildred and Beth.
What about when they picked you up at the airport and the breath?
Oh, yeah.
I have to tell you that we got a letter from Liesel saying that Kurt and Tony was going to pick us up at the airport. That was Carol and I, and that they were going to have a red towel, so we would know it. Well, we got there and we saw the towel, and they were very friendly, and we got into the Volkswagen, and we started to Niederostein, I suppose it was an hour away, 50 miles, how far? Frankfurt. Well, anyway, it's 90 miles. 90 miles. Well, anyway, we got about halfway there, and Carol and I noticed a hitchhiker, and she said to me, "Oh, look, there's a hitchhiker." And we could see them talking back and forth in German, and finally one turned around and said to us, he says, "Is a hitchhiker like a hijacker?" And they must have got the idea that we were going to hijack them. And then one said to the other, Kurt was a policeman, and so Tony says, "I think these are hijackers." And he said to him, says, "Kurt, you have your gun with you?" He said, "No, I got it in the trunk." And we said, "Well, you stop the next place, and I'll make a phone call. You go back and get your gun, because they're going to hijack us." and so he stopped, and they told us that they were going to call ahead and tell them that we were on our way. So we just thought that was okay. So he went and made the phone call. He went back, and he got his gun and put it down in between them. And we went a little further, and we were getting close to where the house was, and we had some pressure. So Carol had a Banaka spray, and so she says to me, "You better use this." So I go to me, and she uses up, and Tony says, "Listen, they've got mace." He's got mace in the car, and he says, "Roll down your window so we don't get mace on us." So they both roll their window down. and then we finally got there, somebody's house. It was on the second floor, and we were all there. We had a little bit of wine and beer, and we were telling this story, and nobody else knew about it. And so they told the story just as I told it, and told them how, like I say, they had the gun in between. They thought we were going to hijack them, and we had mace. And everybody started laughing and laughing, and just hilarious. They couldn't stop from laughing. And just at that time, there's another couple came in, part of our relatives that we hadn't met yet, and they knocked on the door. Nobody came, so they just opened up the door. And they stuck their head in, and they said, "Listen, they're fighting." He says, "Let's go get the cops." So they went out and got somebody that wasn't a cop. They got somebody else to help them, and they started to come in. Then they got halfway up the steps, and they realized that everybody was laughing, and they weren't fighting. And of course, that made it all the funnier yet that everybody really started to laugh.
Let him talk about Leesville a little bit, maybe Leesville.
Yeah.
And your Thomas and Cindy?
Okay, Cindy, she's 19 years old now. She's my sister. And she's learning for a goldsmith. And yeah, what with her? She has some friends. Sometimes this one or sometimes this
What friends?
That's I mean, normal.
Sure.
We have to bring her some Converse, All-Stars.
All-Stars. Shoes.
Yeah. That's interesting that you know the name was...
Chuck Taylor, he's been to our house many times. He designed those shoes way back in 1960, 1955.
Chuck Taylor?
Chuck Taylor, sure. Oh, no, not Chuck Taylor. The famous Chuck Taylor, the basketball player.
Oh.
But when I was in sporting business, I knew he used to come and stay at our house and everything.
Hmm?
Oh, yeah.
I remember we wear these shoes also when we...
Or playing basketball when you were young. Oh, they were made starting about 1955. No, about 1940. 1940. Not 1950, 1940.
He's still alive.
No, yeah, well, the last time I knew he was alive. He may be dead. I think he's probably still alive. But he's probably 83 or 84 now.
How about Lisa?
Yeah, tell us about Leesville.
Oh, Lisa, she's a great person. She's so lovely.
She's your mom, right?
Yeah.
She's just like Annie. And just like Mildred.
She has really a big heart. And
Wants to help everybody. Good cook.
Family all together.
Yeah, she keeps the family all together.
Yeah. She's really nice. We are very close to her. And what to say? You cannot describe the person. You have to see her.
Yeah, you can't believe it.
You have to feel it yourself.
Just feel it.
Yeah.
She's so warm.
Yeah.
And Thomas came over here in 1985, but
That would go back.
tell about Norman, named after
Yeah.
Norm. Tell after in Germany. Thomas's first son, Thurston,
First,
and then Norman.
Thomas, yeah, he came
Who's
here
Thomas?
at 85. Thomas is my brother. And he is 30 years old now. And he's married with Madeleine. And both of them, they have been here once, I think 85.
85.
And they got two boys. And one is named Thorsten, that's the older one, he's 5 years old now. And how is it? School, right? 1.5 years old. The little one is old now, and he's named Norman in memory of him.
And tell how I tell that every year at my German program.
Oh, yes. She has a program every year at her school.
Who has a program?
Jeannie. And she has a first grade teacher, and they do everything. They're dressed like German, with all German costumes and such, and they sing German songs and they count and say a lot of things in German. And they have big pictures on the wall of Germany, and just everything is there. And then she tells all about our history of Germany and mentions everybody who did our first time. So Jeannie is very deep in North German realm. You've never been there.
Well, I've been to Germany, but not to that because I didn't want to be away from my group. I didn't want to.
Yeah, well, you might not find him again.
And yeah, I might not find him. Didn't want to. But now that I know if I got left, I'd be okay. So now I'll come.
So, you want something to eat? This is Judy's cottage, a model.
We hope that something more will happen someday.
Right.
We get
the addition.
The Tom monster off our back.
The guy was talking to. So. What?
And they also have like whitewater rafting there.
Really? Yeah, I'm sure it's open.
Yeah. Rugged outdoor sport.
This is my friend Judy's cottage that we all came to. That's her deck. These are her flowers. The dunes. And her view. The lake. And over this way is Chicago. And on a clear day you can see the outline of the skyline of Chicago. A little planter with flowers in it. That's Jill. That's Judy. She lives here. That's Roy, my son-in-law.
I told your mom I have some hints about how to make a good cake. I got some information. I've made quite a few and sent them over, like for Fredericksburg. You went to Germany. You were on some of the stuff that we did, like Thanksgiving.
This is a quilt that Judy has on the wall. All her friends stitched a square of something meaningful that took place at the cottage. And she hung it on her wall. The kitchen. Fireplace. There's a room, extra room here. Great conversation. The new addition will be going right out these windows here. 3-story addition with her bedroom on top with glass windows all the way around. Someone who works for Chuck designed this window, and then Judy made the lead glass and she made the window insert to go in. This is in her bathroom. These stairs go upstairs. I'll show you another window. This is a picture, a painting of what the cottage used to look like before Chuck did the addition and remodeled the whole thing for her. There's another window at the top of the stairs here that Judy did. This is a loft at the top of the stairs. Little skylights that you look out. You can sleep 2 in this little section. Then there's a little alcove here with a sink. And then a bathroom with a skylight. And this wonderful bathtub that's real deep practically comes up to your chin. Then this is the original little loft that was up here, and she can sleep about 6 people up here. There's a skylight there. It looks out onto Lake Michigan. So if you can see the lake out here. And this is the other end of the little loft. They have fishing stuff hung up at the top here of the loft. She has 3 boys. They like to fish. That's not a real bird. Somebody made that for her, I think. There's Gail and Jeannie and Heidi. There's Horst down there. Horst is down there. He's waving. That's Ian and Brian.
I bet he went for a walk with Horst. That's my bet.
Oh, Horst is on the blanket.
Oh, yeah, there he is. Okay, well, then Chuck's walking.
And Manuel.
Who's the little boy in blue shirt?
I don't know.
So, Horst, do you have anything to say to Lisa?
Hello, Mom. Great.
Wish you were here, huh?
Hi, Lisa.
That's Jeannie.
Gail.
That's Gail.
Buck's daughter.
Buck's daughter, right.
Is your daughter on there?
Okay.
Great kid.
This is Jill, my daughter. You remember her, Lisa? Can you say hi? Leanne? You don't want to say anything? Yeah. This is Jill's son, Ian. He's 3.5 years old.
I made that for him.
I don't know who that kid is.
I made that for him, but they were.
And this is Brian. This is Jeannie's son, right?
Yep.
Yep. Hey, Chuck.
The beach road.
I got my exercise.
What happened?
What happened? I heard you rescued a little girl.
Oh, little guy, he was down here flying. You could tell he just didn't know where he was going. He came from the pavilion all the way down here.
The pavilion, and nobody missed him? Wow.
Yeah, that and the mother just kind of stood there like this.
No
Well, did
way.
she know he was gone?
I don't think she did.
Oh, a long time.
Oh, right there in the back, and then to the left. Okay. It runs in the. Okay, hold on 1 second. But tell him to send us a map of it after the wedding. Okay. My brother-in-law, Joey, he's really wild. He's the youngest of the Butterfields.
Oh, really?
He's in prison. He's been. But he's married this gal who has 2 or 3 children, and changed Joey's life around.
Oh, really? Good.
He really has.
We're finding him. Did you see
steal skis at the Pines.
Oh, no. Married next Saturday. So then I heard about the party, so we'll come to your the party after. But no, it's a good excuse to come, you know. I know you did. We always come. Remember the party? It was freezing cold. Everybody.
Okay, Bulls 23. Whose number is that?
Were you and Jordan married?
That's Michael Jordan? All right.
Look.
Liver.
Right. Ooh.
Let me tell you how it tastes.
Okay, Chuck.
What's the way, Grace or something? Grace? I say Grace.
Grace.
Grace. That's another problem.
Are we happy?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's good.
Good.
Carol's in my lap.
Right.
Chair.
That's what I think. It's like pepperoni.
This one is
And there is a site.
You don't get very far without that, do you?
What?
Types of funny things happen.
What's happening? The hummingbird feeder.
Joe, like yours? When it gets long, it gets really, yeah. do you just landed?
Yeah.
Come on. Ian, come here. Come here.
Right?
He's a child. You ever see pictures of him?
Yeah, there are
Identical?
many that look
Right.
identical.
Well, it's not just the red hair either.
No,
I mean,
Roy's not in the picture. He's sleeping. These are the flowers that Horst and Heidi and Manuel brought to me. I wanted to get a picture of those while they were still in good condition.
Don't, no, you made this up to show the thing, and we started out with so-and-so, and then they had so many children, and then and this person had 9 children, that's, you know.
Don't mind the camera.
Yeah, that's what. You can tell us.
Maybe you have to
No,
explain what
you know what it is, you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe the people, they know all the history, huh?
Well,
I have to repeat it maybe.
see, I'm sending this to Marguerite also.
Okay. Maybe you can film this so you can see it maybe?
No, it's not going to come up very close. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, here is maybe the origin of the family. There was Gottlieb Klische. He was married with Maria Katharina Klische. Her maiden name was Konrad. And they had 9 children. And 2 of them were Wilhelmina Klische and Frieda Klische. And Wilhelmina Klische, she married Nikolaus Maurer, and they went to America. They moved to America 1883. I think we have this plan. I want to make a photo of it, and I will send it to you. And here is the whole family on it, with all the 7 other children. And the other sister was Frieda. That's maybe the German part we are belonging to. And they married 1900. Also 70 years after the leaving of Wilhelmina and Nikolaus Maurer to America. And your family, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 children. And our family, they had these children. So, and this is your family. That's the part of Wilhelmina, maiden name Maurer, and William Johnson. And from this line, from this generation, they are still living Friedel, and Helmut. The other died already. So, and what to say? Maybe the children of Wilhelmina and William Johnston, that's Norman, Margaret, Linda, Albert, Mildred, and William. And they are, what's the second cousin to say?
Second cousin.
Second cousin, or we say great cousin, to my parents, to my mother, and to this generation. So maybe from the age, that's really a difference, one generation. You know? Maybe my grandpa, he was born 1909, and you were born 1960.
1960.
So that's
so
maybe
about same,
same. That's
same generation.
So, and maybe me, I'm the son of Liesel. That's one part here. And I have a brother Thomas, he was here.
He was here.
His wife,
several years
Martin,
ago.
I think
5 years ago, 6 years ago.
1985.
Right.
And I have a sister, Cindy.
She's 19.
Yeah, she's 19. So,
And Thomas now has 2
I'm the
children.
third cousin now of, what is it, Janet, or what is it, Janet Sherman, and Jeannie, Terry,
And Carolyn
also
and Norm.
Caroline, yeah,
And Norman Dawson.
Norman Dawson,
Right. You're our third cousin.
yeah,
Third cousin.
third cousin,
Okay.
and these are the children now of our generation. So because our generation, except me maybe, but they are
all younger.
Yeah, they are very young. Maybe my sister's
15 to
born
25.
73.
They don't have any
yeah,
children.
65, 69, 75, 67, and so on. They are very young, so they haven't children yet. You know.
Okay,
Those
so
would be fourth cousins.
okay, so you are the fourth cousin to Jeffrey here then.
Yeah, I don't know. We say maybe that Thorsten. It's the fourth cousin to you.
Well, what would you be to him?
It would be a third cousin.
You'd,
We always make the other line, you know, one. These are the cousins, great cousins, great cousins, and so on.
They say it a little different than we do.
I see.
Oh, really?
They say they,
Well, I'm sure because
cousins, great cousins, great great cousins.
Yeah. So, what to say more?
These are Jill's kids sleeping in the car.
Jill's and Roy.
Jill and Roy, pardon me.
Takes 2.
Don't worry, Roy.
Okay, this is Amanda. This is Jocelyn and Amanda, Linda's daughter and granddaughter, right? Where do you live, Jossie?
We live in Jamad, about 30 miles from here, south of here.
And you're a teacher, right?
And I teach kindergarten. And my daughter's going to be a freshman in high school. And
Wow.
Cheerleader. And just likes running around
That's
with
great.
all friends.
And okay, doke. This is Jeannie's friend. This is Mike. What's your last name, Mike? Detweiler. Detweiler? She made him go get the lasagna because she didn't have time to make it, right? That's what I heard. This is Jeannie.
Right here.
Look at that. Isn't she gorgeous?
Grandpa Jeannie, if you don't know.
Norm, stand up.
Hi.
Stand up once. I want to get your sign.
Okay.
Whoops. Says Norm Johnson,
Patriarch.
patriarch of the family.
Oh.
There he is. That's him.
Wasn't that nice? And I ran across a man yesterday, and he says, aren't you a relation of Grove Ginder? He said, I work for Grove Ginder, and Grove Ginder is the best man I've ever known.
Well, you know, Joe, my husband, in down in Demont, he ran into a fellow that worked for my dad many years ago, Bill, and he said the same thing.
He said
He said he was the nicest
bestest man,
I
best
thought,
man
yeah.
he ever has known.
Now, who was the fellow that you know? Do you know?
Okay,
Or just somebody you know?
yes, his name is Ken Cook, and he is...
All right, you two, just kind of turn around here. Just pose. Give her a hug.
Turn around, turn around. Turn around.
It's recorded for history. Horace. This is Gail and Norm Dawson and Tammy, Gail's daughter. Gail and Tammy live in Virginia. Gail is my cousin.
One eye.
Oh,
Charlie, how was it?
Wonderful.
How'd you shoot?
my brother Norm.
Well,
He kids me a lot. He's kind of...
We went on the boat early, Charlie did the same thing.
Okay. Now, don't make me back up. Chuck,
what a ham.
this is my husband, and he's late.
I'm what?
He was playing golf.
I've been here for 3 hours.
You have not.
Yes, he has.
Horse kisses the girls all the time. Doesn't matter who. Lisa, what kind of son is this?
I went to kiss her first, and he said, little Leslie,
I don't know
and I
who that
said, no. No.
That's my daughter Jill holding the baby Isabel. Jeffrey's my son on the swing with Leslie, his wife. Sydney in the flower dress. It's Sherry, a bunch of wise guys.
Was she kidding?
Yeah.
Turn Isabel around. Let's see her. There's Isabel. You got your sign on your back still, Isabel? Her name? Yeah, we put her name on her back. There's Sydney. Hi, sis.
She's tired. Yeah,
Sherry, my daughter.
I'm Carolyn's niece.
How come everything relates to you, Mom?
He wants to come in. Do you give him permission? I told him to go ask his mom.
I'll have to ask his mom. Okay, tell me the horse's name. This is for Lisa. Kelly. This is Norm's daughter, Kelly. This is Desi.
Yeah.
And that's your horse, right?
Never know. I'm gonna ride her horse, right? I'm gonna ride her horse. Right now.
Oh, that's a nice horse.
Desiree.
What's Norm's horse's name?
That's Shiloh. Hi, Shiloh. He's a good boy. He's a bit smaller.
Yeah,
But Dad likes it because he says he can get on.
right.
He says to get on Desi, he's like putting your foot over your ear, and then you kind of get on.
Oh, and that's it.
Yeah? You reach over and pet her. She doesn't.
Isn't that nice?
Isn't that nice?
That's Ian. That's my grandchild. He has a cold. Oh, goodness.
So does Shiloh.
And that's Brian. That's Jeannie's son. And Manuel, you know him.
Hold on these.
Nope, shots hurt.
Hold on these.
Desi's 5 and Shiloh's 10.
He's 5.
No, Shiloh's 10.
That's why he has her breathing.
No, he's pretty young yet. He's just got allergies. You were allergic to something.
This is Jill's husband, Roy.
They know me already, wherever they are.
Oh, they want to know. This is Lisa and Marguerite.
This is who I am.
This is
my
Roy.
identity. I have nothing else about me. Right there.
We love him.
I left my heels in the car.
It is formal. You should see it when it's informal.
That's right.
Before it gets too serious.
I'm already.
Good.
Get closer, honey. You gotta get closer. Oh yeah, they can see their house.
Adam, where's my kiss? I can't.
Oh, honey, you just get the face.
That's Gail and her daughter Tammy.
The lower half. The lower half is all comfortable with the upper half.
Hi.
This is Linda, daughter Jocelyn, and Amanda. 15. She's 15. Freshman in high school.
Oh no.
Got it?
Where's Brian?
Brian!
This is Terry Johnston, Norm's son. This is his son Adam.
We remember taking
Terry!
This is Chuck and my son Jeffrey.
early
Yeah, Marley, Matt.
Marley, you know that actress?
Okay, here's the Johnston clan.
Can't hear. But she won an Academy Award recently, like 2-3 years ago. For acting.
You want more than one or just one?
She's been in,
Let me get one more.
do you know who we're talking about?
Yeah. That was so funny that day. You're like, okay, one more. One more.
So we have to wait for order. No.
Take one now, and then we'll get together.
Yeah.
This is Danny. This is Norm's son, Norm Dawson.
I'll go get her.
Brian!
Hi, Danny.
She's like, can't sleep. There we go. All taken care of like that NyQuil, you know. Whenever I really couldn't sleep, I'd have this little difficult, I'd just down that NyQuil and I'd be out for like...
Paula. Hello.
Hi, Carolyn.
How are you?
Hi, I'm gonna go see your
I'm fine, how are you?
Okay. You didn't get them yet?
We didn't get Norm.
That's why Sydney's hanging around, right?
Did we get I'll go find the rest of it. Okay.
Look at his hair.
You don't think they do that in Germany?
Might, but not really Hamburg, American type of hamburgers. I don't know. I could be wrong. I've never been to Germany. So.
Neither have I. This is my brother Bill, who died. This is his son Marty.
I'm not wearing a name tag. My name is Kelly.
And this is Rosemary, his widow, talking to Norm there.
I'll talk to you later.
This is Rosemary. Hello, Rosemary. Hi. How are you?
So when did you up my horse?
Yeah. Tell your mom that you're my boy.
What'd you say, Emmy?
I said, we're going to tell Lisa he's my boy.
He's your boyfriend? How come he's your boyfriend? Tell Lisa why.
Because I love him so much.
And why?
I love him so much because he's just like Norm. Right?
He's 5, right here.
No.
How do you want it?
No.
Beautiful.
Not yet.
How you do it, but get beautiful somehow. Oh, there, that's very beautiful. That's very lovely. All right.
That's Norm Dawson.
Well, here, wait a minute. Wait.
Lotta Lip, Margie,
Don't move.
Sydney, Danny, Kelly.
You want a picture?
What?
I want
The Dawsons, isn't it the title of a family series? Dawsons or what?
I don't know. Walton.
the Waltons.
The Waltons.
You're close.
I want to Carolyn and
Wait, beautiful.
Where's Carolyn? There she is.
William's over here. William, come here.
Who is he?
That's William. That's Lori's son.
I'll just pretend he's mine.
He's
Oh, yes. Normie, wait a minute. I want you and Carolyn, I want you and Normie and me.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay.
Relatives and friends. Occasionally, one of mine eating last Wednesday, I think it was in Caroline's and Buck's house, I've already told that my English is not well enough to make a real good speech with all these important words. But so I only can say what my heart is telling to me. I have to thank you all very much for all the things we have seen and we have heard and we have met all the people. I have to say the best greetings and wishes from the German relatives, and they are fascinated that we have gone to America. What to say? Our special thanks we have to give to Caroline and Chuck, then to Jeannie and Brian, and last but not least to Norman and Amy. I think we can say that at least these two are our American parents. Love you all. And we are very impressed for the, how to say, for the friendship and the kindness. I think I have learned it. We have found or have got here. And so our wish is maybe that we can welcome you once in Germany, and so that you can find a way to Germany and you can see maybe we are living there. We have brought a book about Germany. Maybe I will give it to the
Patriarch.
Okay. So we have to say thank you very much.
To every family so that they will have an opportunity to look at it.
Give it for some days to.
And I think that each one of us, as we pass it and look at it, we have to write something in the book. Okay?
Good. Okay. Thank you very much.
Let's open it up. Well, I can say that on my trip over there, I have never been treated so royally in all my life. It is a beautiful place, and you've never seen such hospitable people as you will see over there. They're just like we are here. Yeah, really, they are. They do everything in the world to show you a good time, and they're cooking. Oh, you come down. They're 20 pounds in 1 week.
Or maybe let me add. Of course, I have to thank also Margie and Norman.
Deutschland is in what was that name?
It's in color pictures.
In color pictures.
It's also written. It's also written in English.
Let me guess. It's written in English and German. It's written in English and German, right?
And French, I think.
And French. And French. Oh yes. But you'll never see such a beautiful place that for those that don't know, that Ina Oberstein and Einsweiler are the gem central of Europe. They have an emerald and aquamarine, and most everybody that works there makes jewelry. They start out with polishing and making these other small gems. And I believe that many of you will know of Jostens here in the United States that makes school rings. It's a big jewelry company. Anybody remember that name?
I have one.
They are all made in Ina Oberstein. All those school rings are made. And then after so many years, certain ones will get to be diamond cutters. And that, of course, is the ultimate. And that's the diamond cutting center of Europe, right in that little town. So it's really a fascinating place to go. Their church is built like in a cave, and high on the mountain, right on the side of the mountain. It is something to behold. You'll see pictures of it. Did you have them?
I will take some.
And I appreciate this very, very much. But you'll get this around to everybody. Yes, I will take the inside of this, and everybody will write a little note then.
He just read it.
Beautiful book.
And we think our German relatives are great.
Yes.
Yeah, here is a picture of that. It's their insignia. That's the sign of Peter Oberstadt. Anybody that sees that knows that it's Peter Oberstadt. Those anybody that is really interested, they can have one of these copies to take home. He doesn't have one for every family, but there's 5 or 6 different ones, and you're welcome to take them.
There's a Jill look right there. Look, right there.
We decided we're going to write on the inside of this.
Android.
See? Rhine River.
Tape and video and audio and slide and memory. Not just single either. We have 45 there. Right.
Is that what these are?
I'll copy those videos. Always send the videos of the family.
You're in Chicago again.
Oh.
We're right
And now that you know her, I'll continue with the video.
Great. So, that's my number there.
Great, thank you. And then I make the video.
Okay, great.
I just play it on my camera.
And when you go to watch it,
and then I record it double.
yeah, that would be wonderful.
Right, and then
I'll
I
do yeah, that would be terrific.
Great.
Two buddies. They've been hanging there for 20 years. Near those horses there in the tree. We're gonna tear down that red barn. Oh, really? That'll be nice. Oh, that'll be a good shot there. It's not bad in the summertime. You can't see that big barn. In the winter, you're going to go see it pretty good.
Oh, maybe in the next week or two.
For 6 or 7. Have you come over?
I make myself welcome.
Always welcome. You're always welcome. More than 2 days, though. 2 days?
Once a week.
Yeah. 2 days, let me think. 3 days rest.